To everyone who is reading this, congratulations for finding this letter. I honestly can't believe someone's actually going to read this and listen to what I've discovered. Unfortunately, though, I highly doubt you'll be able to come and save me. But that's not important right now. I've already accepted my fate, and looking back on it, I wish I wasn't so stupid to be caught in this horrifying mess. Get comfortable with this letter. This is for the long haul. Once you understand the truth, there is no turning back. My name is Austin. I was born in Central Florida, and I'm currently 19 years old. I'm currently enrolled in the University of Central Florida, and just finished my first year. I've also had a best friend since I could remember. His name was Kevin. Me and Kevin grew up together throughout our entire lives. We would go over to his house to play video games, watch movies and shows, or we would go outside and hang out at like fast food places or parks. But without a doubt, our favorite place we would love to go to would have to be Disney World. When we got there, it was like all of our problems and worries vanished, and we were now in a new world filled with magic and creativity. We would spend days together at Disney World with our families, and one day dream of actually being able to live there. I know it does sound a little naive, but we were kids, and it felt like the sky was the limit. As time went on, we did see each other less and less, but we kept in touch through messaging and calling each other. One day, as I was finishing my last year of high school, he told me that he got enrolled into the Disney College program, meaning he could actually now work there at Disney World. You should have seen the look on my face when he told me that. Never before have I been so happy and jealous at the exact same time. It was at that moment that I knew I had to work with him, and so told him that I was going to make a plan, and that once I was in that university, I was going to join him, and we would finally live out that dream we had years ago. Later on, I asked Kevin how he liked the job, and he said he loved it. Of course, being a massive fan about Disney World, I asked him questions about crazy secrets he learned during working there, like, all those stories that have been around the internet for years now. Did he find any like inverted Mickey Mouse or some black and white tape about Mickey Mouse committing suicide? The popular urban legends to mess around with one another. But instead of laughing and joking like we usually would, he got extremely defensive and told me not bring up those things ever again. I was obviously shocked and confused by his lash out response, but I guess he was just having a bad day of getting used to work there. Strange, but I let it pass. So I apologized for what I said and moved on from it. Finally, I finished my first year at college and was able to finally enroll in the Disney's college program myself. I was so excited and ready to finally live and work in the most magical place on earth. But now I know that was the biggest mistake I would ever make. I began working soon after orientation. Nothing much happened during orientation except for the fact that everyone else was wearing Disney mascot heads. Apparently it was required for the orientation. The person on the stage quickly pointed me out saying, "You there, why are you not wearing a..." Then he paused and just stared at me. And soon all of the other people in the room started looking at me. The moment of anxiety I felt in that moment can't even be described by words. Soon though, the person on stage went on with the presentation, and everyone turned to him instead of me, allowing me to feel a sigh of relief. Later on, I finally got my room, and that's where, finally, after so long, I saw Kevin again. I was so freaking happy that I rushed and practically tackled him onto the bed. Kevin was also happy to see me, saying, "Austin, oh, it's so good to see you again, man," while I was tackling him down. However, I noticed something strange. He was still wearing his mascot head. The mascot head was Goofy. I went and asked him, "Why are all the Disney employees wearing these ridiculous mascots with just their heads?" Suddenly, Kevin picked me up and put me back on the ground, saying, "They're not ridiculous, Austin. They are essential for employees to wear." Then I asked him, "But why? Why do you guys have to wear that 24/7? Then Kevin turned and said, "Because that's an order, Austin. It's not something we want to do, but we got to do, alright?" I've never seen Kevin this angry before, and so I decided not to fight, but just agreed to roll with it. Kevin soon went into the closet and opened it up, taking out something from it. He lifted it up and told me, "Hey Austin, here's your mascot head." The mascot head he gave me was Mickey Mouse. which immediately made me go screaming like a girl about to faint. I've always wanted to be Mickey Mouse, walking to my own theme park and being able to be like the star of the show. Throughout that week, everything went amazingly. I met so many people, saw incredible events at the castle, and made so many children happy. All basically for free. The only thing that I didn't like was that the other employees would constantly stare at me whenever I would walk past them. Like I did something to them and now they have hatred for me, even though I've never met any of these people in my entire life. Eventually, I did meet another employee that didn't want to fucking murder me for no reason. I met her performing as Mickey Mouse with the kids. She was Minnie, so the kids obviously wanted us to do something together to entertain them. Her name was Jessica. She was also brand new to working at Disney World and came from the same college I went to. We began talking during our lunch break, and I asked her about the mascot head things, and she said,
I honestly don't really know. I guess they want us to feel immersed in Disney World.
and then I asked her about the whole not taking off the mascot heads at night, and she said,
Yeah, I noticed that too. My roommate always sleeps with her mascot head on. I can't handle doing that, so I take it off once she's fully asleep.
and then I asked her about how everyone's been staring at me and giving me death glares, and she said,
I guess you made them really mad when you didn't wear your mascot head at the orientation.
honestly, the more questions I asked, the more scared I became. She eventually just told me to sleep it off and things would get better. So the next week came and went, but then on the third week, something strange began happening. As I was interacting with families and entertaining them, I began seeing in the corner of my eye through dark shadows or hallways or alleyways, Disney characters staring at me. Donald, Goofy, Minnie, and even Daisy, all watching me from afar. I told Jessica about it, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought she was gonna call me crazy or that I'm hallucinating. But instead she told me how she's been experiencing some strange activity for herself. She explains how the other employees have attempted touching her, like grabbing her shoulder or grabbing her hand. She had quickly shaken them away and walked off, but it seriously gave her the creeps. She said that she's considering quitting soon if the harassment gets any worse and calling the police. I was shocked when she told me this. For all of my life, I had believed that Disney employees could do no wrong, that they were the guardians of this glorious kingdom. But perhaps there's some that are actually dangerous and hurting this magical place. That's when I promised her that I was going to get to the bottom of this and stop whoever was harassing her. She told me that it came from three people in costumes. One was Donald, one was Pluto, and the other, Goofy. My heart sank when she said that name, because the only Goofy I knew was Kevin. But that's impossible. Kevin has never been a predator or some stalker. He would have never wanted to use anyone. I became extremely worried and began breathing like crazy. She noticed and asked if I was alright. I told her I was fine, but I knew damn well that I was not fine at all. I quickly got up and told her that I had to get back to work. Throughout the rest of the day, I was in constant worry and disbelief. My best friend, who I've known my entire life, harassing someone in the workplace? No. No, that's impossible. Kevin's not some stupid guy or guy with, forgive my language, stupid big balls. He's always been kind and want to help people out, not exploit them. As day turned into night, I was about to head back to the apartment complex when suddenly the manager in his Pete costume asked me to close down the theme park for the night. I didn't want to. I was pretty darn tired. But not wanting to be rude, I agreed. I went throughout the park, closing all the attractions one by one. And as I was closing them, I began talking to myself, saying, Kevin couldn't have done it. It had to be a different employee. There's a lot of goofies out there, right? It was probably one of those. And then I suddenly hear from behind me in a distorted voice.
Why do you believe he didn't do it?
I quickly turned around and turned on my flashlight, and it was the inverted Mickey Mouse. The one from the stories. I immediately fell onto the ground and began backing away from him and screamed out, Get the hell away from me, you demon! Go away! Then the inverted Mickey Mouse said,
You need to leave. Now. You have no idea what you stumbled yourself into. Save yourself while you still have the chance. Many never have that chance.
Suddenly he walks backwards as fog begins to enter in, and then in a blink of an eye, he's gone. I walked back to my apartment and was ready to confront Kevin about the harassment situation, but he was already fast asleep when I entered the room. I tried waking him up, but he wouldn't budge, so I decided to take off my mascot head and costume, and fell asleep. The next day I woke up and looked next to me, to see that Kevin was gone. I checked the time and realized that it was already 8:30 a.m. I was late. I quickly got all my stuff together and went to work, but as I was working, I began to slowly realize something. Jessica's iconic Minnie Mouse costume walking around was nowhere in sight. I never saw her once that entire day. I became extremely worried for her and told the manager that Jessica wasn't at work today. He told me that she probably got moved into a different part of the park, and it wasn't a big deal. I immediately didn't believe him, and so went to every single part of Disney World. Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, Liberty Square, Frontierland, the Magic Kingdom, Epcot. You named it, I went there. And not a single time did I ever see Minnie Mouse. I was filled with worries and rage. Worried for Jessica, and also enraged at how the manager just told me a lie. I came back to the manager and told her that I couldn't find Minnie Mouse anywhere. And that's when he told me,
You're still on about that? Listen, I found Minnie Mouse. She was just in the bathroom for the day. You know how Disney food can get to you.
Then suddenly from behind him came out Minnie Mouse. And I screamed out, Jessica! Oh, thank goodness you're alright. But when she spoke, she said,
Who's this Jessica? I'm just Minnie Mouse silly.
My heart fell down to the bottom of my stomach when I heard that. Was this some kind of joke? Is she doing this because of how I left yesterday? But then she said to me,
Listen, it's getting late, Mickey. It's best we get rest for tomorrow, okay? See you at work.
Then she walked away, and the manager said to me,
See? All good as new.
and he also walked away. I soon walked back to my apartment complex and back into the room, and found Kevin looking at the wall thinking about something. But then he turned to me and said,
Oh hey Austin, how was work?
Then I sat down on my bed looking at the floor with a blank stare, and then I asked Kevin, Kevin, were you working at all with someone in a Minnie Mouse costume? Then Kevin turned to me suddenly and said,
I did, but only once with a small family. Most of the time I saw her was with you actually. Why do you ask?
Then I turned to Kevin and said, Do you think there's something going on here? Like something we shouldn't know? Then Kevin says,
Austin! Come on man, are you alright? Did you hit your head earlier? Of course there's nothing Disney's hiding from us. It's fucking Disney World for Pete's sake.
Then I grit my teeth and screamed out at him, Really? Really? You really think that? Or are you just one of them? Then Kevin tries to calm me down, but it's too late. I've had enough of these lies, and I scream out, No! I have been stared at since I got here. I saw one of my coworkers vanish and return without knowing who I am. And especially that you never take off that stupid mascot head. Then Kevin screams out,
Don't call it stupid! It's essential for the job!
Then I scream out, Oh really? Please tell me why. Is it to hide your identity? Or are you just really ugly out of nowhere? Then Kevin screams out, Austin, stop. Now. Then I get up and say to him, You know what? I'm sick of seeing you with that mascot head on. Show me the real you now. I try to grab his mascot head and he starts counting down. 3, 2, 1. Suddenly he grabs me by the neck and throws me onto the bed. He quickly gets on top of me and tries to restrain me. I quickly headbutt him, getting him off of me. I quickly get on top of him and starts punching him in the stomach, screaming out, Show me your fucking face! That's when security knocks on the door and screams out, Who's fighting in there? Don't make me break down this door. That's when me and Kevin both agree to stop fighting and tell the security guard, No one's fighting in here. There's nothing to worry about. Then the security guard tells us not to do it again and walks off. After that, me and Kevin both agree to sleep off into the night, silent to one another. As I was sleeping, I got a dream. A dream starting off with me at night entering the Magic Kingdom, specifically the castle. I walked in fast as it felt like I was being chased. I quickly chose a hallway and ran down it, and soon I found a parts and service room, where I heard inside a woman screaming for help. I tried breaking down the door, but once I broke it, inside I found an inverted Mickey holding a pocket watch, swinging it back and forth, and he said,
Tick tock, Austin. Tick tock.
Suddenly, he leaps at me with horrifying teeth and I wake up from the nightmare. It was nighttime still when I woke up, and outside it was raining. I checked the time and found out it was 3 a.m. I turned to my left in shock. Kevin, for the first time ever since I started working here, was not wearing his goofy mascot head. I saw the back of his head and it looked a little bit like my hair. I slowly got up and tiptoed to see Kevin's face. Once I finally reached it, I froze. I was looking at myself. Kevin had the exact same face as me. The same nose, the same eyes, the same mouth. It was like looking at myself in the mirror. I began walking back, in shock and disbelief. This entire time I've been working at Disney World, I was never working with my best friend, but with someone who looked just like me. That's when suddenly I fell over the coffee table and knocked over the lamp, making Kevin wake up suddenly and out of a cold sweat. He looked around the room and found me missing from my bed, when in reality, I was hiding right under Kevin. The good news was that he quickly went back to bed, probably assuming I was in the bathroom taking a leak. After this, I went back to my bed and tried to sleep it off, what I just discovered. That my best friend, the one I've known my entire life, was gone, missing, and in his place was a man who looked exactly like me. I broke down in tears immediately after realizing the painful truth. That my best friend in the most magical place on earth vanished. The next day I went to the Magic Kingdom and stared at the statue of Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse. I've seen this statue all my life, and I always assumed it was related to Mickey Mouse being Walt's first creation. But now, it made me wonder if, in reality, there was a double meaning that I never knew about. After staring at it for a while, someone came from behind me and sat down next to me. I turned and saw that it was Minnie. I turned back and asked her, "What do you want?" She tried to explain how Mickey should be entertaining the guest and doing the best job he can. This enraged me. I know the person next to me is not Jessica. It's painfully obvious. But once she said,
Don't you realize where you are? You're in the most magical place on Earth. Everything you could possibly want can come here.
then I stood up and screamed at her, "The only thing I want back is Jessica, not some fake, stupid imposter!" I began assaulting the Minnie Mouse employee, and in my fit of rage, knocked out her mascot head. That's when I saw who was truly under the mascot head. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. It made my ears start to ring as the other employees came in a hurry to restrain me. The person inside the Minnie Mouse costume was me. An exact copy of me had replaced Jessica. Soon afterwards, I was brought back to the apartment, but not sent to my room. But instead, they tied me up and threw me down the stairs into the basement. I got back up and screamed at them, "What the hell is going on? Why is Jessica?" Then the manager screamed back,
Shut up. Do you have any idea of what you just done? Do you? The amount of damage you are causing to this company. And you're doing this for what? Some stupid girl? You're pathetic, Austin. You've finally been able to live out your fantasy working in the most magical place on Earth. But no! You throw it all away for some stupid girl who never even mattered. You're lucky the director's not coming until tomorrow morning. But oh ho ho! Just you wait. For the things that he's going to do to you, you'll see. Just you wait, Austin.
The manager walked away, leaving the only employee staring at me. Kevin. I screamed out to him, "Kevin, please!" But then Kevin said, "I'm sorry, Austin, but the rules are the rules." He closed the door on me slowly, leaving me in total darkness. Seconds turned to minutes, minutes into hours. Hours began feeling like days. Eventually, I nearly drifted off to sleep when I suddenly heard. I turned and see the distorted Mickey Mouse staring at me in the corner. I quickly sprung up and fell onto the ground, backing away from the Mickey Mouse. I screamed out to him, "Leave me alone! I don't need your help, you monster!" After I said this, the distorted Mickey Mouse said,
Why would you say that about me?
Then I responded back screaming, because that's what you are. A freak, an abomination, an urban legend that should be fake. Not real. Then suddenly the distorted Mickey Mouse grabbed his head from underneath and said,
Well, let's see then.
I knew exactly where it was going, and I screamed down and closed my eyes. Oh God, please don't do it, I beg you. I don't want to see your head come off, please. The distorted Mickey Mouse pulled out its head as I hear the disgusting flesh sound as he goes and takes it off. That's when I hear him drop the mascot head on the ground, and he says,
Look at me, Austin. You don't need to fear any longer.
I reluctantly looked at him, but instead of seeing something like, I don't know, blood and guts fly across the room, instead I see a horrifying version of myself. Its eyes are gone, leaving blood to run down its face. His skin is light blue, just like the costume, and he has a deep scar on his left side of his face. I became extremely confused. Why was the distorted Mickey Mouse also a copy of myself? Why was Minnie Mouse a copy of me? Why was Kevin a copy of me? I screamed out in shock and confusion. What the hell is going on here? Tell me! Why are all you guys me? After I screamed this, the distorted version of myself approaches me. It gets down to my level and says,
Here's your options.
He pulls out his hands and hides something in his fist. Both of them. He then says,
The left fist means that you will discover the truth. But in the process, you will suffer an agonizing death. However, if you pick this one, then you can save the woman named Jessica. Now, if you pick the right fist, then you will be able to escape free and alive. But you will never know the truth, and Jessica will suffer a painful and agonizing death. The choice is yours, Austin.
I immediately felt paralyzed. He was making me make a choice of either saving a girl or saving myself. I asked him if there was any other options, but he insisted on them being the only two. I also asked about my best friend Kevin, but he said,
Your best friend Kevin has been dead now for 2 years. You can't bring him back, Austin.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing, what was happening. I wanted to leave so badly. I wanted to get the hell out of there as fast as I could. But knowing that Jessica would suffer the same fate as Kevin made me not want to leave her behind. Not letting her die in the same way Kevin did. And if I really think about it, technically all of this is my fault. I fell in love with Dizzy as a kid, and made Kevin fall in love with it too. I never suspected that would cost him his life. I soon made my choice, and said to him, I picked the left fist. I want to save the girl. Then a distorted version of me opened its fist, and it revealed a crumbled up piece of paper. That's also when the ropes suddenly were cut by the air, allowing me to be free and grab the paper. I opened it up, and it revealed a map only for employees, specifically for someone named Austin Parks. And inside, it revealed a hidden hallway inside the Magic Kingdom's palace. And inside was the parts and service room. I quickly looked up to thank the distorted version of me, but he was already gone, completely vanished. I quickly ran up the stairs and busted the door open. I began running through the halls, when suddenly I heard alarms blasting through the apartment complex, and the voice intercom, Fugitive attempting escape! Fugitive attempting escape! That's when suddenly multiple of the doors swung open, revealing multiple mascot characters trying to capture me. Peter Pan, Jack Sparrow, Donald Duck. Honestly, writing it down sounded funny, but actually being chased by them was terrifying. I soon reached the front entrance, but the lockdown doors were already down. I really had no choice but to run up the stairs and make it back to my room. I quickly shut the door and turned back, and that's when my whole body froze. Inside was Goofy, holding a knife staring at me from across the room. And underneath his breath, I heard him say, It didn't have to end this way, Austin. We could have lived in Disney World forever. He immediately began walking towards me, as I began to freak out, having nowhere to go and nowhere to hide. I had no choice but to accept my fate, and as he reaches me and lifts up his knife, I was completely prepared for him to kill me. But suddenly, he stopped. He turned around and see something that made him drop his knife. I turned and see none other than the distorted version of myself appearing in front of Goofy. Immediately Goofy said It's you, my original creator. And the distorted version of myself says to him,
Stop trying to kill the boy. He's the first step towards the end of this nightmare world. Instead, buy him as much time as he needs. Help him escape this room.
That's when suddenly Goofy turns to me and says, come here, Austin. That's where Goofy gives me the knife and says, go use this in the bathroom and get the blowtorch in the locked pantry. Quickly, go! I immediately sprinted to the bathroom as all the mascot characters began flooding into the room. Kevin began fighting like a maniac, holding off all the characters to buy me as much time as I needed. I broke the lock with the knife and grabbed the blowtorch and ran to the lockdown window and began using the torch on it. That's when Kevin began getting overwhelmed by the horde of mascots and soon got tackled onto the ground. That's when I turned around to see, but looking back on it, was probably one of the worst decisions I ever made. The mascot head got taken off, revealing zombified versions of myself, and I took Kevin's mascot head off and began eating him alive. His eyes got yanked. His skin was getting bit off. I became sick seeing him getting eaten alive. That's when he screamed, Austin, hurry! Now's your chance! I quickly finished blowtorching the window and moved back to get a running start. But that's when one of the zombies grabbed my arm and tried to take a bite out of me. Suddenly Kevin, with the last bit of strength he had, threw a chair at the zombie, knocking him out. I turned back to him, seeing him one last time, and I said to him, thank you for everything, Goofy. Hopefully your next life will be better. I ran and slammed into the window, breaking down the door and falling down into the pool. I quickly got out of the pool and ran towards the Magic Kingdom. It took me a little while to get there, and as I was running, I began hearing footsteps of the zombies catching up with me. I finally reached the Magic Kingdom, and now I finally realized that it's nighttime, because the front entrance was closed. I had no choice but to use a blowtorch on one of the locks. As soon as I ran inside and made it back to the palace, and the statue of Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse, I began getting exhausted from running, but I began hearing the zombies reach the entrance of the park. So I quickly booked it inside the palace. I pulled out the map and began trying to navigate the inside of the castle. I found the spot where the secret hallway is found, now covered by drywall and wallpaper. I quickly pulled out my blowtorch and made an entrance for myself inside. Once I was in, I found the hallway extremely old and run down, with no lights to guide the path. I had to use the blowtorch as a light. It looked just like the hallway from earlier, but older and run down. The colors turning from a nice orange or blue to the distorted red and brown. That's when I kept looking and finally found the parts and service room, once again covered by a lock. And as I was opening it, I began to hear muffled screaming inside. I tried harder and harder to open the lock, and finally it broke. But what was inside, without a doubt, will be forever the most terrifying thing I have ever seen in my entire life. Inside the room were bodies nailed up against the wall, all with horrifying disfigurations. Some with no eyes, some with no mouths, some with no limbs, some with chests ripped right open. And the room was not small. It was at least the size of a warehouse. And throughout all of it, hundreds of thousands of people were murdered and left hanging off the wall. The look on my face was something straight out of a horror movie. I couldn't move as I saw the bodies all around me. I stepped forward and found the room covered in a massive puddle of blood. And most importantly, buckets of blood everywhere, many of which were completely empty. That's when I heard the person screaming and I ran down the warehouse, looking for the source, and that's when I found it. At the end of the warehouse was Jessica, nailed up, pinned up on the wall like she had been crucified by the hands. She had a black eye and cuts all over her body. I quickly got up and one by one pulled out the nails from her hands. I asked her, how long were you up there? And she said only for a couple hours. But she's been in this room for 2 days now. I quickly lifted her up and she explained what happened. She said,
Only a couple of minutes after you left, I was approached by someone in a Goofy costume and someone in a Donald costume. They told me that the manager wanted me, and so I went to go speak with him, and he told me to follow him into the Magic Kingdom's castle. The manager told me of how I wasn't like the rest, and at first I thought that I meant I might be promoted, but that's not what he meant at all. We soon stopped at a wall, and he somehow opened the wall using a lock combination that was camouflaged into the wall. And soon, we were walking through the rundown hallway, and he began explaining how Disney is a magical place, a place unlike any other. However, because it's the best, there has to be a cost. He told me to take off my mascot head and told me to open the door. I opened it and saw.
She began to break down in tears, knowing that she saw the horrifying sight of all of the corpses hanging onto the walls. Then she goes on explaining.
I quickly screamed. I screamed, seeing what I saw. And that's when Goofy grabbed a bat and knocked me out. Next thing I knew, I was caught in ropes seeing Pete, Donald, and Goofy all staring at me. I begged to be released, but the manager simply told me that no hard feelings, just business. And they left me there, all the way until today, when the manager came in with a hammer and nails and crucified me onto the wall, leaving a bucket under me to collect the blood. If you didn't come and save me in time, then I would have...
She quickly hugged me and thanked me for saving her life. But I knew that this was not over. Not by a long shot. I quickly lifted her up and gave her my phone, and I told her, I will buy you time. Make sure to call 911 so they can hear your injuries. I won't let them capture you. That's when she begged me to come with her, but I knew I couldn't. If we both try to make a run for it, then we'll surely be captured. And so I told her that it had to be this way, and gave one final hug. Afterwards, we left the rundown hallway and opened the door. I told her to run towards the entrance as most of the zombies are now in the other direction. She said one final thing to me before running away.
Austin, I hope I will get to see you again one day. You're the best person I've ever met. And if you don't make it back, then I won't let your sacrifice be in vain.
I nodded to her, and she ran off. That's when I turned around and saw the massive horde of zombies begin to run back the direction I came from. I took out my blowtorch and prepared to make one final stand. I feel crazy remembering all of this, honestly. Everything happened so fast. I barely had any time to think just how deep the gravity of the situation truly was. The zombies finally reached me and I screamed out, "Hey! You want a piece of me, right? Come and get it!" I started using the blowtorch to blind the zombies, but because of the vast amount of them, I knew I wouldn't be able to hold them off for long. I tried running back and maneuvering them to buy me some time, but it was no use. Eventually they pinned me down and were prepared to eat me alive, just like what they did to Goofy. When suddenly from the shadows, I hear a familiar voice.
Stand down.
The zombies immediately turned and out of the shadows came out the man from the orientation. The zombies immediately stepped away from me, allowing me to get myself up. Then the man said to me,
I'm impressed, Austin. You within just a couple of weeks managed to figure out that something was wrong with Disney World. But then again, I wouldn't expect any less from you, considering where you come from.
I screamed out in anger. Why? Why did you guys do all of this? All of this death and carnage? Nailing up bodies on display in the parts and service room? Why the hell would you do that? Then the man said,
Zombies, bring them in.
The zombies quickly grabbed my arms, lifted me up, and began walking forward with the man from the orientation. The man said,
I'm the president of the Magic Kingdom, and therefore everything that goes on through the park is administrated by me. Honestly, I never would have suspected that you would decide to work here, Austin. But at the same time, considering your history, it makes the possibility much more likely.
Soon we're in front of a massive gate inside the castle, and the president nods at the zombies to open the massive gate. Once the doors slowly creak open, I see inside, and it freezes my heart to its core. Inside were massive display tanks, filled with water, connected all by massive wires, all connected to a massive supercomputer in the ceiling of the room, with one single red eye. And inside the main tube, laid a man, lifeless, but still having wires go through him, sucking out his blood. We went inside, and that's when the president started speaking again.
Austin, does that man in the tube look familiar to you?
I began to look harder at the man in the tube, confused at first, but once I looked closer, everything began coming together. My eyes opened wide and my jaw dropped. Then the president said,
Your father was without a doubt Disney's, no, the world's most loyal, intelligent, and greatest employee of all time. Number one. You should have seen him when he was alive, Austin. He looked it just like you.
That's when finally the dots started to click. Somehow they've used my father's blood to recreate versions of himself to work at Disney World. But right before I could continue thinking, the president said,
He started working here since the day Disney World opened. He was only a young lad during that time, about your age to be exact. But he was the greatest employee Disney ever had. No one could top him in his kindness, selflessness, obeying orders, and most importantly, keeping the magic alive at Disney World. Because of that, we made him the first ever Mickey Mouse here at Disney World. However, as years went on, he began to age more and more, and unfortunately in 2010, he passed away. We tried replacing him with other employees, but they were nothing like him. All of them smoked pots, disobeyed orders, constantly getting into trouble with the guests, just working there to make a quick buck or use it as an excuse. I didn't think we would ever get the chance to ever have your father back. That was until we met Dr. Koss, a brilliant scientist that showed me that it was possible not just to get your father back, but make every employee just like him. You know him, don't you? You've spoken to him a lot more than you think. Come on, Dr. Koss. Or should I say, Pete.
from the shadows comes out my manager, in the same Pete's costume he's been wearing the entire time. He pulls out his mascot head, and I see his face for the very first time. A balding, old man with scars all over his face, and an eye patch for one eye. The president continues speaking, now facing me.
Dr. Katz created this glorious machine above you. A machine that can use the blood of a person as a basis on how to make an entirely new human being. But it also can capture the soul of the original person and trap it inside the body of the new person. We first tested this out in this new theory 2 years ago when we opened the Disney College program. And luckily for us, many of you children came, blinded by the promise of something that was never yours. And your friend Kevin was one of them. Oh yes, I can still remember his screams. The best part was that Dr. Akatz actually had a bit of trouble back in the 80s and 90s. He wasn't an innocent scientist, no, but a renowned serial killer in Turkey. He would murder his victims by nailing their heads in the wall, killing them instantly. However, because we needed blood to drip down slowly, we had to make compromises. But back to you. I'm surprised that before your father died, you were born. If I knew you were born sooner, then I would have started a process with you a long time ago. Hey, but don't be worried. You won't be like you're alone. Everyone will be just like you. Everyone.
My body felt lifeless after hearing the truth. This entire time, Disney had turned from one of my favorite companies, the most magical place on earth, to a company only focused on success, willing to throw away everyone that doesn't align with what they want. And I was foolish enough to believe that Disney could still be magical. But now I see my father in a tube, all of the bodies on the wall, all the people here being cloned, my best friend gone forever, all because I decided to follow. I followed and chased when I should have ran away. I should have ran away with Jessica before she went missing. I could have saved us both. I could have made it out. Then the president continues saying,
Well, Austin, it's been fun. I'm not entirely sure if I'll use your blood to power the employees, especially considering how different you are from your father. Your father was the most greatest, loyalist, intelligent employee ever. But you, well, besides looks, you're no different from anyone else your generation. Calling you his equivalent or his successor would just be spitting in his legacy. But we also can't have you telling the world what you discovered here. So Dr. Akos, take him to the parts and service room and execute him. I'm sick of looking at him.
That's when the zombies took me to the parts and service room and locked me in here. As I'm writing this right now, Dr. Cos is getting God knows what to come in here and murder me. I'm currently using the blood on the floor as ink with a pen and paper I found. I don't know who will ever read this. I don't even think anyone will be able to read this. But if you were the one reading this, then you must know. Disney is not the same place it was years ago. The company's constant thirst for perfection have led to commit atrocities and horrific acts, out of denial of not being the best anymore. And it could all be shown with the Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse statue. Walt Disney became successful because of his creation. His creation had domain over the entire world. However, once his creation passed away, Disney lost their control over the world, and desperate to get it back, decided to murder all of the new generation, to salvage the old one. I finally understand the double meaning of that statue, and what it really symbolizes. The memory of the past, but also the desperation of wanting it back. If my mom is reading this, then I just want to say I love you, Mother. I'm so sorry I had such a foolish son to believe in the lie of Disney. Father, I see where you are now, but I'm so grateful for your help. I would have never been able to save Jessica if it wasn't for you. I'm so sorry for what I've done to you. I hope one day you can rest properly, instead of being used as the lifeline and bloodline of Walt Disney World. Jessica, I'm sorry I was never able to see you again, but now you know the truth. But be careful. Disney will try to hunt you down if you try to expose them. Handle this with care and patience, but most importantly, not alone. Not only yourself. I pray that one day Disney will pay the price for what they have done here. And if you're somebody else, then know this. When you go into Disney World and see all the mascot characters jumping, playing, performing for you, and they all kind of look the same, know that those are not different people working for Disney, but a family of clones, all enslaved to do Disney's bidding. So the next time you go to Disney World, don't believe them. The most magical place on Earth is now just a mask. A mask that all employees have to wear to be number one.